Spectrum. This is, sort of I wanted to, things have changed a lot. We have Spectrum. People are, concerned about their iPhones. And now with the iPad, we're using an incredible amount of data. And basically, we're getting a huge amount more demand for data usage. And there are two ways to increase the wireless capacity. Invest money in things like cell sites and new technology, or add enough spectrum, add more spectrum. And with this extra data, you have to worry about it. You want to try and figure out how can the government make sure that there's an efficient amount of provision of services. So one thing is to get more spectrum. And where is it being used right now? There's a lot of spectrum being used in what was called the killer app of 1950. Black television. We have a huge amount of spectrum devoted to television, over-the-air television. And right now, 90% of people get their television by paying for it. This is not using over-the-air television spectrum. 90% of people, and probably my guess is that those are the people who value television more, so probably more like 95% of watching is done not over the air. And we still have an average of 14, 15, 16 over-the-air television stations in the city. Well, if you say we need to make sure that people are connected and able to get information, you might need 1 or 2 television stations over the air, but not 15 or 16 to get it. And it's a very expensive way to make sure that everybody has a home shopping network channel on channel 36. So we need to, one of the keys and one of the things that they worked on really well on the broadband plan was trying to think about a way to provide incentives for the broadcaster to actually give up their spectrum, because the broadcasters are incredibly politically powerful. The way you get elected as a congressman is being shown doing good things on the local news, which is controlled by local broadcasters over the air. So they have a lot of political clout. So the FCC has tried to figure out a way where they could try to do an auction where the broadcasters actually get some or a lot of the money, but they actually give up some of the spectrum. So that's, wireless, I think, is a key thing that we need to do. But I don't want to focus on that right now. I want to talk about 2 other areas that I've done work in, which is willingness to pay. So the FCC hired 2 colleagues of mine at the University of Colorado, and we were asked to do a survey of the willingness to pay for broadband. How much do people actually value this broadband service that they get? So we did a paper for them called Household Demand for Broadband Internet Service. And there's a link down at the bottom. You can get it at the CEPR discussion papers to see the full paper. Given our time constraints, I'm only going to focus on a couple of things. We asked people, what we did was we got a group called Knowledge Networks that has a panel of broadband users to answer questions about what kinds of different, what do they want in broadband service. And so what we did was we asked them, we gave them 2 hypothetical services, option A and option B. They had different prices, 25, and we had a whole bunch of different sets of options. So this is just an example where they had $25 a month or $45 a month. One was fast and one was slow. One was less reliable and more reliable. And we gave them a choice of preferring option A or preferring option B based on these characteristics, which we explained, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we said, okay, we also know about your home internet service because we asked them questions about their home internet service before, what the price was. And then we asked them, would you stay with your home internet service or prefer option B that you picked out between option A and option B? So we talked about speed. How important is speed to people's willingness to pay for broadband? And we gave them an example that was basically the difference between a cable car, a train, and a bullet train was what we said in one way. And then we said, it's how much faster this stuff is, because we did not think sort of telling them that they could get 5 megabits a second versus 10 megabits a second would really resonate very well with people, but telling them what they could do with it. And so we did that. We came up with results that people were willing to pay $20 a month for more reliable service. And this is something that I can attest to because I switched from DSL to cable because our internet service went out about once every 2 months, and we were willing to pay more for the cable service because it doesn't go out. Another interesting result was we got people willing to pay $45 a month for a premium of fast over slow internet service. So people wanted to pay $45 a month for a premium to get fast service over slow. For very fast compared to slow, it was $48 a month. So if you can do quick subtraction in your head, you can find out that very fast service is worth $3 a month more than fast service. So this ability to do very high-speed stuff at this time with the applications that are available on the internet now is only worth $3 a month. But that doesn't mean that in 5 years it won't be worth a lot more. This is one thing. But we found right now people are not willing to pay a whole lot more for very fast service because of things. You can watch a YouTube video on what we considered fast internet service. And we found that overall people were willing to pay, when we added up their willingness to pay for broadband, the overall service, people were willing to pay $60 to $100 a month for internet service. And new users, those who'd been online less than a year, were willing to pay about $30 a month less. The ranges I have here were because we had different levels of service. But on average, the new users are willing to pay $30 a month less. Now, there's a question that we want to try and set up in the next time we do a survey, which is there are two different explanations for why new users would be willing to pay $30 a month less. One is that new users just have a lower inherent willingness to pay for broadband because they didn't think that that was what they wanted. They just got on slower and later than other people. The second is that people who got on later haven't learned as much about all the things that they can do on broadband yet, and that over time, as they learn, they will become more similar to the people who've been online 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years. And we may be able to try and do a strategy of trying to tease this answer out. And I think this answer is really important for policy for the FCC, to try to understand what they're going to do. Because the FCC, as Chairman Janikowski said, we want to get more people online. Well, if you think it's the idea that people learn more as they get online and they become more comfortable with it, they're willing to pay more, then if you want to get more people online, you want to be like a heroin dealer. You want to get people addicted to broadband, and then you can take away the subsidy. You can make people pay later. So you can do it differently than if you think that it's, well, we need to get people online, but the people who are not online now aren't willing to pay very much for it, and we need to provide incentives for them to get online for some social reason. And that's a piece of debate as well.